Hello and welcome to Lunatic OPUS. I'm Stuart, this is my son Clinton, and today we're going to be talking about Battlefront Valkyrie, a game by Fat Dragon Games. We'll be reviewing it with 10 different criteria, that being the lore, the factions, game mechanics, scenarios, ease of getting into, the rulebook, figs, kit bashing potential, replayability, and price. To start that off, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right, the lore. The lore in this game is pretty minimal. The basic premise is Earth has discovered a world, the system of Valkyrie, that has remnants of a advanced civilization and has sought to seize the planet in order to gain unknown technology. The Kurgan Empire, or Federation, or whatever they are, also has laid claim on the same world, and they started fighting over it. Once you get into one of the expansions, the AI descendants of the original race have come back to drive both of them from the system. So, from a lore standpoint, it's functional, it's not particularly deep, it's not particularly engaging, but it's not too bad. What do you think?
I'm of the same vein. It's pretty stereotypical ancient civilization with some tech lying around. It's not bad. It's not especially good either. It's kind of a blank canvas. It's mostly just, look, here's an excuse. Go fight each other in space.
Yep. So I give it a 5.
He's got paper, I've got my phone. I also gave it a 5.
All right. Next, we got the factions. Do you want to talk about the factions?
Sure. So the core game comes with just 2. There's the Terran Alliance, and then there's the Klingons, Kurgan. Lore-wise, there's basically nothing there. Gameplay, they're very similar, but with slightly different mechanic. One's got slightly cheaper ships, the other one's got slightly bigger, heavier ships, but cost more points to use. We'll get more on that on game mechanics. I think it's a really nice system. They're very visually distinct. It's not super complicated, so you don't have to flip through 100 pages just to understand the different factions. So I think it's fairly simple, not too complicated, and generally a good system.
All right. Factions, I agree with you. They did add the 3rd faction, which is the AI descendants of the original inhabitants of Valkyrie. I found I was a little disappointed when I read the rules for I haven't tried them yet, but the new faction,
Where are they?
Sigians? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's a new race. They're AI, and they didn't seem to play all that differently than the other ones. I would have liked to see something that represents more of their artificial intelligence, non-biological status.
Being very different to organics.
Being very different to organics, exactly. But it's functional. I gave it a 6.
I gave them 7, actually.
Okay, so you're slightly better than me. All right, game mechanics. The game mechanics are very straightforward, it's very simple. The actual game mechanics only take up 7 pages in the rule book, so this is a very streamlined, straightforward game. Basically, on a turn, you have a command phase where you will allocate energy to, depending on the status of your engines, you'll get a certain number of energy points, and you can allocate these to reinforce your shields, reinforce your weapons, etc. There's then a sensor phase, which is basically initiative. You then do movement, and in movement there is drift, so ships without any engines or small asteroids will drift. Then you have whoever won the initiative will move half of their fleet, and then the opponent will move all of their fleet, and then who won the initiative moves the rest of their fleet. After that is combat. Combat's broken down into first you launch missiles, then you do alternating activation for your beam weapons and rockets, So I attack with a ship, my opponent attacks with a ship, and then back and forth until everybody's had a chance to fire. And only at the end do the missiles actually hit. For damage, only hull and engines are tracked. You can't damage individual components. Mechanics are simple. You roll a certain number of dice depending on the weapon and potentially the range. There's standard 6-sided dice. On a 4 to 5, it does a hull hit. On a 6, it's a critical hit, which damages the engines instead. The final phase of the turn is a repair phase, or a 50% chance of repairing 1 point of damage to either engines or hull. Other than that, it does have other systems, advanced jamming systems, where you treat your opponent as if they're 2 inches further away than they actually are, advanced sensors, which give modifiers to initiative, advanced targeting systems, which let you reroll a miss. There's tractor beams, where you can pull around ships without any engines or small asteroids. There's drones, there's mines. Basically whatever you'd expect from a starship simulation game. The only things I found missing, there's no cloaks, which to be fair don't tend to work very well on a tabletop. And there is no concept of warping out, kicking into warp drive or jump drive or whatever technology you want to be using. But other than that, everything seems to be fairly complete. For game mechanics, do you want to discuss?
I don't have anywhere near as detailed as you. The biggest thing I liked about it is, first of all, it's very simple but also complex. It's very straightforward. It's something you can easily teach to literally anyone pretty quickly. At the same time, like you said, it's got mines, tractor beams. You can pretty much do anything in this game that you can imagine doing in a space simulation game. The only thing you can't do that I kind of wish you could is you can't tractor beam ships with working engines. You can't like try to out-engine power them into an asteroid, but that's looking for issues at that point. I really love how straightforward and not super complex it is.
One of the things that's nice about the system is they give you a game card for each ship.
Yes.
And a spinner so you can keep track of your health for your engines and hull. And you get some tokens. You move tokens around on your card to indicate where you're reinforcing your energy. And pretty much everything you need to know is on your card, with the exception of the advanced systems. You got to look them up. But they're fairly easy to remember. There's not that many of them.
It's got like reminders of 5 or 6s or what you need to roll for your shields to work. It reminds you what you need to roll to hit. Basically your player card is as much your cheat sheet as your player cards.
Exactly. They've even gone so far as the 4 sections that you can damage, forward, aft, port, and starboard, are all color-coded. So red is always, I believe it's forward, and orange is starboard or whatever. So it helps keep things, and those colors are actually on the bases of the ships, so that it is very easy to keep track of where things are and whatnot. So yeah, game mechanics, I gave it a 7. I thought it was quite impressive, particularly with the low page count.
What did I write? I gave it a 9, honestly.
You're impressed with it.
I really like the mechanics of this game, honestly.
Good. The next is scenarios. Do you want to talk about scenarios?
Sure. Specifically, the lack thereof. The game does come with expansions, and a couple of the expansions have scenarios. The base game has absolutely none. It's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, it's better to have no scenario system than a bad one. So, like I said, just the starter set is basically just pick some ships, go fight each other, which is honestly pretty fun, I find.
So for scenarios, I just gave it a 2 because, like I said, you've got to get expansions before you actually get scenarios, and even with all the current expansions, there's only 3 of them.
Ooh, I didn't realize there were that few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 5 because, like I said, it's unfortunate that all you've got is team deathmatch, effectively, but at the same time, it doesn't have anything bad.
So next is ease of getting into. And this is an incredibly easy to get into game. It comes with all the ships you need, as long as you've got an FDM printer. If you've got an FDM printer, or a friend with an FDM printer, or access to a library with an FDM printer, or a maker's shop, it comes with all the ships, the spinners, the stands, the tokens, everything you need to play the game, and they're all designed for FDM printers with no supports. So it is incredibly easy to just print off what you need. The mechanics, as we mentioned, are really easy to pick up, really quick to teach. For ease to get into, it is very, very good.
I would agree. It's really easy to get into, like you said. Honestly, I've played board games that are more complicated and confusing to learn. You can honestly just pull out your ships, decide on how many points you want to use, put some random terrain in the game, and go, pretty much. You can be from just a blank table to ready to go in not even half an hour.
Alright, so for ease of getting into, I gave it a 9.
I gave it a 9 as well.
Okay, we're in agreement on that one. Do you want to talk about the rulebook?
I would love to. So, the rulebook is, we've mentioned it a little bit, it is really short. It's literally 14 pages, which, on the one hand, I really like because it means it's not at all intimidating. So, especially if you're new to tabletop wargaming in general, it's a really easy thing to get into. Some games can be really kind of scary to get into. On the other hand, I may or may not be a little spoiled, but I like how for both role-playing games and tabletop war games, they will frequently have little bits of fluff scattered in, little short stories, stuff to inspire the imagination of the players as they're reading and deciding how they're going to play. There is none of that. There's like a paragraph at the start explaining the star system they're fighting over.
It's about a half a page.
But that's it. So it's short and sweet. I wish there was a little more fluff, but other than that, it's a really good rule book.
Yeah, it's laid out well, good illustrations, lots of examples. The layout is pretty. Overall, yeah, the rulebook, I gave it a 7. I thought it was quite nice.
I think I gave it an 8.
Okay, so we're pretty close. The figs. The figs are good. I don't want to say they're phenomenal. They're designed for an FDM printer. They're designed to not need supports. That puts some severe limitations on what you're able to do. But they're completely functional, fine, reasonable quality. I didn't tweak my FDM printer to get the best quality results I could have possibly done. They recommend you shift to a 0.2 millimeter nozzle, which I didn't do, and still the ships looked quite nice.
They did.
So no real complaints with that. My only real objection, the Kurgan ships, the light cruiser and the heavy cruiser, look too much alike. One is slightly larger than the other, and there's some very minor details different, but you need to put something in paint to actually easily tell them apart.
Yeah, it's like one of them has a slightly pointier nacelles.
Yeah,
that's about it.
And like I said, a very slight difference in size. So that was a bit unfortunate. But other than that, they were pretty good.
I'd agree. Yeah, they're not the best miniatures I've ever seen, but especially considering they're meant to be 3D printed basically with any printer, they're pretty nice designs.
So for the figs, I give them a 6. Respectable, but not brilliant.
I gave them a 7.
Okay.
So close.
Yeah. You want to talk about kit bashing potential?
Sure. So I don't have a lot of personal experience with kit bashing. Most of my experience is watching you kit bash.
Yeah.
So my thoughts are purely theoretical, but I have noticed that the way the mechanics work, it's purely based on the base of the thing. So for the most part, as long as it's not like huge or something, you can have pretty much anything on top of the base as long as it's the same scale. Mm-hmm. That said, you're not going to find a lot of toys in like a toy dollar store that are space themed at about that size. So it's a little tricky if you're not custom making everything.
That said, if you've got a 3D printer,
that is true.
Your options are opened up a lot more.
So the fact that there's no lore or gameplay mechanics that limit what your ships have to look like. You can have them look like NASA stuff or Star Trek or whatever. I think it could be a lot better, but it's pretty decent, I think. What would you say as...
Yeah, there's no real mechanics for designing your own ships or anything like that, so you can change the cosmetics of your ship, but if you're looking for something that lets you actually design your own ships with a point cost system or something, you're not going to find that here. So overall, for kit bashing, I only gave it a 4.
Wow, I gave it a 6.
A 6? Okay. So you were more impressed than I was with that one. Replayability. Again, this goes back largely with the scenarios. If there were more scenarios, it would have more replayability. The ships have all got distinct abilities, which make them play a little bit different, but there's still an awful lot of similarities between them, so I think you can get a little bit tired of it. To a certain degree, it's expected with a game that's this simple. But now that said, it's just come out with a new expansion today, just bought it, which has alternate stat lines for the Terran ships, and it's part 1, so presumably the Kurgons will be coming out shortly, which just give you so it's the original game shipped with the A versions of these ships. These are the B versions. So it's not replacing them, it's just giving you more options. If they keep doing that, then that will extend the replayability, so that is fairly good. But overall, what do you think?
I honestly think it's got some really good replayability. Like, you can create your own scenarios. You ideally shouldn't need to, but the biggest thing for me is how quick and easy it is to just set up a game. This is pretty much a game that, like I said, kind of like a lot of board games where you can just go, hey, do you want to play a game of Battlefront Valkyries? And you can set up and start playing in no time.
Yeah. Because
there's so many different things you can do with a ship, even if you're using the same ship every game. I think it's got some pretty good replayability, and like you said, they are coming out with plenty of expansions they're going to add to that, and they're pretty nicely priced too.
Oh yeah, we'll get to the price in a moment. The replayability, you mentioned the expansions. There's 6 expansions right now. There's the first expansion gives a shattered space station for terrain. So you got bits and pieces of a broken space station, which look gorgeous.
I've seen
it's
the pictures.
Some of the nice. It's not exactly simple to put together, but it is the nicest fig they've made, and includes 2 scenarios. Second expansion gives you 2 additional Terran ships. The third expansion gives you another scenario and transport ships, so you're getting escort duty scenario. Expansion 4 gives you 2 more Kurgan ships. Expansion 5 gives you the new faction, as well as rules for 3-player games. And then the latest one, as I said, gives you the alternate versions, all within about 10 points. Ships range from about around 100 to a little over 200 points in cost, and the new ones tend to be within 10 points of the original, so they're not grossly out of sync with one another. For the most part, a light cruiser is a light cruiser, a destroyer is a destroyer, more or less. But it does add a little bit more replayability. So, yeah. So
I notice you going out of your way not to even try to pronounce the new faction's name.
Sigarians?
There's no R.
I don't know how to pronounce it. All right, I gave it a 5 for replayability.
I gave it, it's like an 8, honestly.
Okay, all right. And then the last one is price. The game's available on Wargame Vault. You can go there, download it. It is frequently on sale. Pretty much every time I've gone to look at it, it's been on sale, and its price is low to start with. They also have a bundle where you can get the first 4 supplements with the starter kit for a reasonable price. Though you can get, we're talking a miniature game that you can get it and all of its expansions. If you get on sale, Canadian dollars, I think it's less than $50.
Oh, easily.
You can't complain with these prices. This is the most affordable miniature game I have ever seen.
I don't know how they're making money.
Yeah.
With, because, their latest expansion, well, unless you count the new ship variants, which were like $1.
Yeah, I think it's $1.50 marked down to 99 cents.
But like the completely new faction, that was what, $5? Something like that?
Sale price was 5 or 6. I think
It's
the full price was just under 10.
Yeah, it's like, how do you make money when you're selling things that cheap? It's especially in the current gaming market for video games, war games, everything. This is ridiculously cheap. It is really nice, especially for the quality.
Compare this to, you walk past a Warhammer store without even buying anything, and it costs you $300.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, no, for price, it's a 10 easily.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So overall, I gave it a 61. That's a solid little fun game. A little beer and pretzels, but fun, affordable, and can't go too far wrong. I haven't had this much fun with a space sim in quite a while.
I gave it a 75. I'm a little more generous than you. Not entirely sure why, but yeah, this is a really good game. Honestly, I would love to play it some more. We should play another game or two. Well, we're going to be on this channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a really good game.
We're going to do a video on how to play the game in more detail, and we're going to do a Let's Play where we can actually see us playing a game off one another. And yeah, it looks like fun. So, with that, their tagline is, "Today is a good day to die," for the enemy crew.
Which is a really good line.
So with that, we'll leave it for today, and hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us.
Have a good, whatever time it is for you.
Bye-bye.